The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of Into the Pit or the Vibes Broadcast Network. This show is intended for mature audiences. Please welcome your host, Coyote Knight.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Into the Pit. We have Mr. Kevin Killen here, who I understand is an author and has wrote a book called Ghosts and Me. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you grew up and that kind of stuff?
Sure, Kyle. Thank you for having me, first of all. I grew up in Falls Church, Virginia. I actually live in Alexandria now, which is a couple miles down the road. I'm right outside of D.C., for those who aren't familiar with the Northern Virginia area. I was actually born in the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, came over to the States, lived in Chicago for a while, and then moved to Virginia in the 70s. So I consider myself a Virginian because I've been here ever since, with some stops in some other couple states for school and things like that. But definitely I just grew up in Virginia here.
Oh, wow. Was that kind of like a culture shock moving from one place to another?
I suppose it was. I mean, I was so young. I didn't really know. But what I did know is that I was told that I didn't speak English until I came here.
Oh,
I spoke the native language Tagalog. I guess I had a nanny that was taking care of me and that actually spoke Tagalog to me. And I didn't speak English till I came to America, which was about 4.
oh, okay. Yeah, we made a trip to New York, and I swear it was like going to a whole nother country when you go from Texas all the way over there. And then, I'm the only guy on the subway that's chewing tobacco. So,
Yeah, actually, my father lives in Dallas, so I went to visit him about 10 years ago.
mm-hmm.
So that was a bit of a culture shock there for me because I'd never been to Texas. So it was a nice change of pace. Though Texas is a really beautiful state.
Is he a Cowboys fan?
I'm a Steelers fan.
Well, but your dad, is he a Cowboys fan?
Oh, my dad. I guess he is now, but he used to be a Redskins fan because we spent so much time here. But I think he switched over to Dallas since he's lived there for about 25 years.
Oh,
So.
yeah, because, Redskins fans in Texas, that's sacrilegious, man. But, getting on the subject, tell me a little bit about your book.
Sure. Of course, again, it's called Ghosts and Me. And what this does chronicles about 40 plus years of my life dealing with the paranormal, including currently my workplace is very actively haunted, which is actually I'm going to be going there after this interview. As a matter of fact, I have to actually go to work tonight. But I just wrote down experiences that I've had in the last 40 something years. It's been about a 15-year journey between first word written to publication, and I just went ahead and just wrote down everything that I've had from shadow people to phantom footsteps to doors opening and closing to my first EVPs, and again the things that are going on in my current workplace right now. So everything I pretty much have experienced up to this point is in the book.
So I've got to ask, what was your first experience?
I was about 5 years old. We were living in Chicago, or actually right outside out of Chicago, a place called Evanston, Illinois. It's a suburb of Chicago. We had moved there, and we lived in a big house. My father was a journalist who used to go cover sports every once in a while, and he took my older brothers with him. I had 3 older brothers, excuse me, at the time. He took them to a basketball game in St. Louis. So it was just me and my mother in the house, and this was a big rambling turn of the century. It was just one of these huge brick houses that scared anybody because it just looked old and creepy from the outside, and it pretty much was. So we were downstairs in what would be called the living room. We were eating dinner, and we heard footsteps above us. And I turned to my mother and I said, "Who's that?" And my mother said, "Well, it's my little boy." And that really confused me because I was the only little boy in the house that I knew of. But she told me later on that she said that because she was scared that somebody broke in and they were walking around upstairs, and she didn't know what to do because, again, being 5 years old, she didn't want to frighten me, so she went ahead and told me that. But I distinctly remember hearing just footfalls on the wooden floor upstairs as a 5-year-old. Distinctly, I can hear it, like as I'm telling you now, I can think back to being right there again and actually hearing that in my head right now. So it's still very, very right there in my head. So that was my first experience.
So did you get to see anything while you were there? It was just the noises.
No, it was the noises. The only thing that I really kind of don't quite understand is I had a dream one night. We had, like I said, it was a two landing, went upstairs to two different staircases to where you get to the hallway where the bedrooms were. And I remember I was at the bottom of the staircase, and all my stuffed animals came walking down the stairs.
What?
And that was like that was a dream, I think. So that was like the only thing that I really, to this day, kind of, it kind of makes me wonder what that was, because it was just the creepiest thing. Because again, all my toys walking down the stairs by themselves. So
Oh, of course.
yeah. So, but I never saw anything other than the one visual that we had, or the one auditory with the footsteps.
Now, I remember my first experience, I guess it was about somewhere around there, 4 or 5. And I saw something in the doorway of the room that I was staying in at my grandparents' house. But even at that age, I still thought that I was dreaming it. Now, whether I was or I wasn't, I guess that's debatable, but it still freaked me the heck out. So I could, I know what you're going through. So in your paranormal journey, have you like encountered any apparitions or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I've encountered. I've only seen 2 full-bodied apparitions in my years. The first one was I was living in Pennsylvania with an ex-girlfriend, and I happened to be in her kitchen, and we were doing something. It was around holiday time. I think it was Christmas or something. Well, she had a 5-year-old son who had blonde hair, and I had turned around and maybe opened the refrigerator, I believe, and I heard footsteps like racing to the kitchen. So I kind of just looked over, and I saw a little bit of blonde hair run into the bedroom. And I thought that was him, so I went in there, and of course there's nobody in there. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I look outside, and sure enough, all the kids are outside playing. But I distinctly saw a blonde-headed child run past me in the kitchen. So again, I think that was my first full-bodied apparition. And the second one was in my current workplace. Actually, a couple right before I think the year before I got it published. I was actually touching it up at work, because I work nights over there. So the woman who started our program worked as a substance abuse counselor for a residential treatment facility. So the person that invented or started the program where I work, her portrait is a huge painting right around the corner from where my office was. And I happened to glance up when I heard something, look through the window, and I saw half of a body walk through the floor. And first thing I thought of was somebody was up. So I got up and looked around, and there was nobody in the hallway. But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, this looks familiar to me. And then it hit me. It was the woman in the painting from her waist up. It was her. And she must have just been checking up on us, seeing how everything was. But I see her all the time, and I nod my head to her, because she just, she wasn't there to bother me. She was just there to say hi. But I thought that was interesting, because, like I said, I was doing some touch-ups on the book, and there she was. So that was my second full-bodied or half-bodied apparition. It wasn't even a full body, because, like I said, it was from the waist up. It was definitely her. So
Wow, that's a trip.
yeah.
So, I mean, were you like nervous about it, or just like, I've seen before, I can handle it?
At that point in time, I think I was a little, I don't want to say jaded, because I'm never jaded with paranormal. You can't be. Because,
Right.
like, the minute I say that, something will happen, and I'll get the goosebumps, and I'll get scared to death, So I don't think I think I was just a little surprised, because she was the first person I had seen there. And the place I work for has been around for about 45 years. And we've had a ton of people come through there, obviously. And she actually wasn't one of the ones that I would figure that we would have seen first. But I've never seen a client. I've heard them. I've talked to them, former clients that have passed. But she was the first one that I actually saw. So it was actually kind of nice, because once I figured, she was just here checking on us. It was kind of like a calm, peaceful feeling.
So have you been part of a team, or is this just personal experiences?
No, just personal experiences. Unfortunately, because my schedule was kind of crazy and hectic, I haven't been able to pin down any teams to go investigate with. And I would love to do that, because I've never been on a real one yet. But that's one thing I definitely want to do eventually. And I've been talking to some local paranormal teams. Again, my schedule is so crazy, it just never aligns with them. And then I haven't been able to go out, but I definitely want to do that someday.
Oh, and in making your book, was there any kind of collaboration, or it's just you?
No, it was just pretty much me and my experiences. The first half of the book chronicles when I was in Pennsylvania. My girlfriend at the time I was in school is a psychic witch.
Okay.
So a lot of the first half of the book, for about 10 years of our lives, we were together. So we had a lot of experiences together that I chronicled in the book. But for the most part, it was just experiences that I had with various people or myself.
So, curiosity. How do you get started writing a book? I mean, I'd like to do that sometime, but I wouldn't have no clue where to begin. I mean, other than the brainstorming, but putting my ideas and stuff together. I mean, what's your experience with that?
Well, it's funny that you asked that. I actually have one of my clients wants to be a writer and found out that I had this book published. So he recently just handed me a short story that he wrote, and he's actually really good. He told me to take the red pen to it, which I gladly did because, I don't get asked that too much. But I actually have a coworker who's got a lot of experiences with his family, not paranormal, but just he wanted to do a memoir, and he was like, Kevin, how do you start? How do you start with the book? So I've been kind of coaching him a little bit on how to do that. My background's journalism,
Mm-hmm.
so I spent almost 10 years in journalism. So I guess I don't want to say a natural writer, but I've been written words been basically my life for most of my life. So I just basically with this book, I just started chronicle. I just started writing stuff down and then decided, you know what, this might make a pretty decent book, and just started hammering it out. I mean, honestly, it just kept adding to it, taking away to it, editing myself, having people read it. So it's just, I just kind of just sat down and hammered it out and just kept going.
Wow. See, that takes some discipline. I don't know if I have.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, excuse me, I think a lot of people don't, and that's fine. Like I said, it's not an easy thing. And like I said, when I said it was a 15-year journey from first word until publication, it really was. And I have well over 100 rejection slips from publication companies who flat out said no. So I kept most of them just as a kind of a motivator for me that eventually this is going to happen. And luckily it did. And while I'm on that subject, I want to thank Ozark Mountain Publishing for doing that for me. And this, again, is a dream for me. So they made my dream come true. And I've had nothing but good experience with them as my publisher. So I just want to thank them again for being able to do that.
Oh, nice. Now it's available on Amazon, correct?
Yes, Amazon.com, OzarkMountainPublishing.com. I have an author's page there, and we also have a library where you can shop and buy it there. Walmart.com, BarnesandNoble.com, pretty much anywhere you can buy books. You can just type in the name, and it'll be there. I do believe it is actually in Barnes and Noble stores as well, but you can definitely find it on pretty much anywhere you can buy books.
Oh, that's my home away from home, Barnes and Noble. So now I have a mission. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to look for it. So, can you tell any other stories out of the book, or are you going to make everybody just go out and buy it?
No. The one thing I do is I love doing these podcasts. I enjoy them so much, and each host that I get to meet brings something different with them, and usually it's a question that's a curveball for me that makes me think, and I love that because nothing's been standard for me. And I think that's how the paranormal is. Nothing's standard in the paranormal. There's no way it can be, because just when you think you have something figured out, you have nothing figured out.
Exactly.
So, I love that. Maybe I just like to talk. I don't know.
Hey, I love it when I get a guest that comes on and wants to talk. Go for it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But no, actually, sure. I'll tell a few stories from the book. One of the my favorite stories of the book was my first EVP, electronic voice phenomena.
Mm-hmm. I think we have a little bit of a technical difficulty. We froze here. Well, alrighty then.
As always.
Okay,
Never.
I lost you there for a moment.
Okay, you need me to go back?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Sure, not a problem. So in the early 90s, I lived in a house in Falls Church, that base I grew up in. Between my friends and my family, my brother's friends and everybody, it was kind of like a Grand Central Station. We never had a moment's peace.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been really big into the paranormal, and I'd read a lot of the books. Hans Holzer's, every book he wrote, it was like a Bible to me. And I read that I had all of his books. And I remember reading one book particularly. I can't remember. I know I'm going to butcher this guy's name, and I always do this, but I believe his name was Carl Rodiz.
Okay.
He was I want to say Swedish. I believe he was a Swedish, just like a Swedish, I want to say a bird watcher of some sort. But anyway, he was doing like bird recordings in the forests out there in the 1900s, and he caught voices on his tape recorders, and that was kind of like the first EVPs. I mean, he didn't even know what they were because he was out there just catching bird voice. But anyway, I read his book, and it was really fascinating to me. I was like, wow, could that really happen? Because this guy wasn't even trying.
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, hey, and I had experiences leading up to that in my bedroom of footsteps at night, walking around my bedroom, kind of like walking up to my bed and walking back. And I had a wooden floor at the time, so it was very distinct. You could definitely hear the footfalls, and it would scare the hell out of me. I mean, I would be turned on my side, and I'd hear them behind me, and I wasn't going to turn around and find out who the hell was over there.
I don't blame you.
So as I got more into that, this one particular night, nobody was in the house. I actually, for the first time, I think I actually remember ever in that house not having anybody in the house. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make a recording and see if I can capture anything. And at the time, I don't know if you remember the big boom boxes with the speakers that came apart.
Oh yeah. Okay,
well that was my and my Sony my Panasonic handheld. Those were my two tape recorders that I had at the time. So I had the big boom box. So I said, okay. So I put in the Maxell tape, which I know from younger fans are not going to know what that was, but it was a 60-minute run.
They don't know what we had to go through back then. No. You remember having to stick pencils in them to rewind them? And
absolutely. See, yeah. I talk to young people all the time, and they're like, "What's a phone booth?" So anyway, I went ahead and popped it in, and I said, "If there's anybody in here, please show me." So I went ahead and hit record, and went to a friend's house for about an hour and a half, and came back, rewound the tape, went ahead and played it. And at about the minute and a half mark, I started hearing these weird blips, like just, I don't know what it just weird blips and bleeps and everything. And I was like, what the hell is this? So then it sounded like somebody was drumming on the top of the radio. And I was like, Jesus, what is this? So then at the very end, like the last 5 seconds, I got this very dark, evil voice that says, ha ha, I have shown you.
Oh, wow.
And it was, to me, it was back when with those tape recorders, if you tape a voice and you slow it down, is exactly how it sounded. But it just was very evil and dark, and it scared the hell out of me. I almost did fall out of the chair. I ran running out of the house because it scared me so badly, because it was just at the very end of that tape, it was this very deliberate voice, and I went ahead and ran out of the house scared to death. So,
man,
no, I never did figure out what that was, and the more I think about that now, because I'm loath to use the D word. Like, I know a lot of these ghost shows and everybody, oh, it's a demon, it's a demon. You know, I don't go there.
No.
So, and with my luck, it was probably a dead relative messing with me because, you know, I had some jokers in my family, I've heard. So it was probably one of my dead relatives just making fun of me and just saying, I'm gonna screw with Kevin here, and did that on purpose. But So that was my first thing, and again, that really kind of opened it up for me, because I really was like, okay, everyone thought I was crazy.
We're all crazy.
Yeah, I knew what I heard.
Right.
But again, back then, you remember, it wasn't as open as it was now, and things like that. So basically, everybody thought I was either on drugs or I was crazy that I told this to. But that kind of opened it up for me paranormally. Like, I knew there was something out there, and I wanted to find out what. And that kind of really that was my rabbit hole.
Right.
That I went down to this day, because that really just kind of opened it up. And then from there, when I went to Pennsylvania for school, and I met Cheryl, who was in the book, my witch girlfriend. She opened up a lot of things with me, because I was able to learn a lot more things with her that carried to this day, and I'm still friends with her. So we're still good friends. So
That's
I
good.
think that was actually kind of nice. We had a pretty.
Okay. It cut out again. Something happened. I don't know what. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cut
There
out
we are.
again?
There we are. Yeah, I've got a guy that can edit it for us, so
Okay.
there's no problem.
Okay. But yeah, like I was saying, that's when I went to Texas, is when we broke up. So I ended up going to Texas to kind of lick my wounds and rediscover myself, I guess it was.
Yeah. Well, a few things kind of came to mind when you were talking earlier about the Holzer books and things. Do you watch the Holzer Files?
Yes.
Which is one of my favorite shows now. I actually had Shane Pittman on the show.
Oh,
So
wow.
shout out to Shane.
Awesome.
He's a really great guy too. So reach out to him and
Definitely.
because he will talk to you.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And another thing I wanted to mention was it seems like I get my best EVPs when I'm not trying. We
Right.
just happened to pick up a cell phone and was recording something off of a screen that we had recorded from where we had been doing our investigation, and got a great EVP off of it. Said that was me, and very distinct. It kind of like, ooh, man, that's cool. But the other thing I was going to mention, and trying to think of how I'm going to word this. Excuse me. This is probably going to get edited too. You know, and I've been so used to doing these shows live. I usually just zoom right through them, but you know, brain fart time.
Yeah.
You had brought up something else that I wanted to mention. You know what? We'll just go on from there. I'll think of it again later.
Okay.
But okay, we're gonna go from here. Um, do you have like favorite shows you like to watch, and are those certain shows that you watch like, okay, yeah, this is a bunch of BS? Because bring up the point that there's a show or two that might mention every time they go somewhere they seem to find a demon, and I don't think you come across them that often.
Right. You know, honestly, I don't know if you remember. You probably do, on the animal. Was it the Animal Channel? Not the Animal Channel. What's the name of the? Oh, geez. It's the
We
one
got.
with the animal spirits.
Oh my goodness. I may not have seen that one. I know most of the shows seem to be on Travel Channel now.
Travel, yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was actually on the Travel Channel, but it was the ones where the people would have the animals that would actually be, you know, they'd see the spirits or feel the spirits, and they actually had a lot to do with what went on there. Can't remember the name of it, but it was a really good show. I really enjoyed that one, because I've actually had a couple experiences with animals that had to deal with dark entities that actually protected me. So that was actually kind of cool when I watched that, because I totally believe in my mind that the animals protected me during this particular time. And there's a story in the book about that. That's one of them. I like the ones that that talk about the personal experiences, the ones that the haunting and a haunting, and I think that's the name of it. I love the haunting. That's a great show because the over the voiceover in the beginning is just the greatest thing with the whole nightmares become reality. I love that. That's like a really cool show, and I've actually known. I think two of the places that were in there I've actually been to, so that was kind of cool.
That's pretty awesome when you see some place you've actually been that's on television.
Yeah, one of them was in Maryland. I actually went to the area. I think I actually saw that. I'm pretty sure I was at the house, maybe not, but it looked pretty close. And there was another one in Maryland that I think they recreated. I was close to it as well, but it wasn't exactly the place. But it was just kind of cool to know that, oh, hey, this was on that show, and that was here. The one with Amy Allen and Steve
Duschovy, yes.
I love that one. The paranormal.
It's the Dead Files.
Yes, the Dead Files. Yeah.
And let me tell you, Amy is an awesome person.
Yeah, she like I said, I've always liked her.
Yeah, I got to meet her in person. So
she sounds really cool. And so does Steve. I'd like to meet either one of them. I've actually got them as a Instagram. I follow them on Instagram, so I read their posts all the time. But I really enjoy that show.
Yeah, he's a hard ass.
Yes, and I just love the premise. They used to have a show back in the day where were Chicago cops. That was paranormal, the investigation, like an investigation, like a murder or a crime. I thought that was such a great idea. Why not? Because it's the same thing. Come at it as like an investigation, like somebody broke into a house or somebody got killed. Mm-hmm. That was such a great premise to me. But yeah, I see. Like I said, with Steve, he does the investigating part of that show, and I just really enjoy him. Plus, I like his accent.
Right, got that whole East Coast.
Yes, I love the New York.
Yeah, don't ask him about equipment, because if you ask him, he'll tell you he doesn't believe in any of that equipment.
Really?
Yes, it's just straight on investigating. And a camera, he doesn't mind having a camera going around with him, but all the other equipment, he'll tell you, oh, it's a bunch of BS. So
wow, that's interesting.
Well, I think that's the whole, he was in the Marines, I believe, and plus being a police officer, I think it takes a lot more convincing when it comes to him.
Right, and I totally understand that totally makes sense to me. But I have to say that the first Ghost Hunters, that was at the time one of my favorite shows, because it was one of the few that was still on, that was actually on at the time, and in my opinion, I think it kicked off a lot.
Oh yeah.
The copycat shows, but that was like from the mid 2000s. But I used to watch that religiously.
Oh, myself, I never missed an episode.
Yeah, and Grant and Jason, I think, sound like really good guys. So I would like to meet them as well, because I've read their books and watched most of their episodes, and I think they have a magazine that they do online. I've read some of their magazines.
Yes.
But yeah, that was really one of the ones I used to go to work when I used to work at a different place back then. We used to talk about, like, the next day, just compare notes and how everybody knew about, somebody had an idea, oh, my grandmother's house is haunted and this is what happened. And it was kind of like, wow, because again, I had my experiences, but I'd always try to keep those to myself for fear of being ridiculed. And exactly. It was kind of nice to finally actually see people that are actually kind of coming out in the open and saying, hey, this was what happened to me. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, that was one of my favorite shows back then.
Yeah, I've actually met Dave and Steve and Dustin and Samantha. I actually had Samantha on the show, and she's awesome to talk to. But we've been trying to explore and investigate the paranormal since the 1800s, and
Right.
especially like early 1900s when that whole spiritual movement was coming
Right.
about. But it kind of became a little bit more taboo with, through the years, and then Ghost Hunters comes out, and then all of a sudden, boom, and you've got group after group after group, and TV show after TV show after TV show, and don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking any of them. I feel like we're all a family, and we should share information, especially on how to investigate. If I've got something that you can use, by all means, take it. It's supposed to be a community.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like there are some people out there trying to take advantage of the whole craze. I don't want to really call it a fad, because this is a passion, and
Right.
people just have found an outlet to say, oh my goodness, I've had these experiences. I want to make sure that I'm not crazy. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to do these investigations. And I will admit, about 90% of everything that I come across, I can explain away. But that other 10% where you're scratching your head going, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope you really get involved with the team. And once you do, you've got to come back on and tell me your experiences, because that would be so awesome. Are you going to plan on doing, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say absolutely. Yeah, that would be totally great. Um, and like I said, the ones that are local to me, I just can't get. I can't pin them down with my schedule and their schedule, unfortunately, because I've been itching to do this. And I actually found out later, I used to work in security in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my coworkers actually had a team. I didn't even know this until after I left the area. But yeah, he actually had a team. And I was like, damn, I could have like went with him anytime because we got along really. If I had asked him, he would have been like, sure, come along. I didn't know that at the time. But yeah, I just, but by no means am I anything as far as expert and with that at all. I just want to go along for the experience to see how they do it and how you guys do it, because I think what you guys do is something pretty special, and it takes a certain kind of person to do these things. And you're absolutely right. Like I said, another host on another show asked me, do you do things all the time? I said I'll go weeks and months without getting anything, and then boom, it'll just open up with a flurry of just whatever, and I'll be just like, Jesus, That's how this thing works. We're at their mercy, not the other way around. That's
Oh,
my
yeah.
opinion anyway.
And especially you go into a place that's been investigated time after time after time, eventually you're going to run across spirits who are like, you know what, I'm tired of fooling with these people. I'm just going to kick back. I'm going to shut up and just the heck with it. Now, me personally, when I die and I come back as a spirit, I'm going to jack with people. So when they say, what's your name? I'm going to say Puddingtane. Ask me again, and I'll tell you the same. You remember that from our childhood?
I think honestly I'd have to be the same way, because the big theory out there, and I actually that to me makes a lot of sense, is that you keep your personality when you die that you had in life, and that's how I'd be. I'd just be like a big jokester. I'd be like pulling chairs out from under people and just like throwing shit. And I'm sorry, it'd be a cuss if I wasn't able to.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
That out. So yeah, that's who I'd be. And like I said, and I don't like to speak ill of the dead, especially with family members, but my father's father was a real asshole. So thank God he's never come back in spirit form, because he would have been a tyrant, because he was a tyrant as a human being. So if he ever decided to haunt us, he'd be son of a bitch. He was a real hard ass. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But yeah, that's how I'd be the jokester spirit. Yeah,
oh, exactly. Now, I have brought stuff home before, and I've had something actually attached to me, which made me physically ill, and no doctor. I went to like 3 different doctors, and I can't tell you how many tests I went through. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then a meeting with a medium, it automatically went away. And she tried to explain this wasn't in malice. There was we went to the Yorktown Hospital. I'll start out with that.
Okay.
And while I was there, there was a child that the medium saw was in a wheelchair when he was alive. And he just kind of looked at me as a father figure because, I mean, I got 5 kids, got 3 grandkids, and it's like, somebody's in here and can, relate, be a father figure.
Right.
I want to go home with this guy, and didn't realize he was making me sick. We kind of had to let him move on. And everything else that's ever, entered our home has always been that, okay, I'm just kind of be back here and I'll see what you're doing. Or we had an older lady that was in a house just before we moved here that used to rattle the dishes and open the cabinet doors and in the kitchen because that's where she loved to be. And she's like, you're the son that I've always wanted. So here I am. I'm in the kitchen preparing you things, and never tried to chase her off. And here we have 2 kids. One of them's young. The other one's about 17. And the 17-year-old likes to play with our cats. And it's crazy because you'll see them and they look like they're actually playing with somebody. So, but
No, that's awesome. Like I said, I've actually had 2 of those same experiences. I had an attachment that was actually a really nasty one, and also one of the houses I lived in college was haunted by the former owner, who would do the same thing. He'd rattle doors, open doors, just to let us know he was there.
Yeah.
So that was it. He was definitely a decent spirit. He just wanted to let us know he was there. But he'd do the same thing. He'd go in the kitchen and slam cabinets and things like that when me or my roommate were by ourselves. And I put that in the book too, because we ended up comparing notes one day when we got fed up with it. Like, hey, do you hear stuff when you're by yourself? And then we just kind of open up the floodgates and we were just comparing notes for like half an hour. We were like so relieved, like we weren't going crazy because we hear things like the back door opening, thinking somebody came in because he worked at a bar, so he worked late. And then I get up and be like, I didn't hear any other doors closed and nobody's in the house, things like that. So.
Wow. So do you have plans on writing another book?
Yes, I'm actually in the works right now. I'm doing one. I'm working on one now. I'm doing a little bit differently. I think it may have been done before. And again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but I'm doing a battlefield ghost book.
Oh.
Since I'm actually in Civil War country. But what I'm trying to do is I'm going to go to various battlefields. Right now, I've got 4 in mind that are close to me, including Gettysburg. And I want to go there and I'm going to have a handheld, just, my regular tape recorder, and just go ahead and see what I can capture on the battlefield. And it's difficult. I can't talk to the Rangers. They won't talk to me on record. And I understand why. Maybe some people up there hopefully will talk to me, but I wanted to kind of do it like an investigation type thing, but by myself with my handheld and just see what I can capture. I'm going to Antietam is going to be one of them. And Antietam's got a great story about the Irish Brigade. And I'm hoping to capture that, seeing as that I'm Irish American. So hopefully they'll speak to me because I'm Irish American and a Southerner from Virginia. So maybe they'll open up to me a little bit. But yeah, I'm working on that right now. So hopefully I can get that done. I really don't have a date right now. So hopefully maybe by the end of the year, I can at least have my manuscript over to my publisher, if not a little sooner. But yeah, I'm working on that now.
I'm actually looking for something for you. It's called the Ghosts of War series. And I think you can find them on Instagram. But the lady's name is Charla Hardin. Reach out to her because that's what she does.
Can you spell her name?
Sharla, and then Hardin is Hardin.
Okay. Yeah, I actually reached out to
It cut out again. Are you there? Can you hear me? Why does this keep cutting out?
Yeah.
There it is.
It's my internet.
I got you.
We're having some bad weather over here, and I'm in the basement, so.
Okay.
But
I'll talk to my editor and he'll fix it.
yeah, sorry about that.
No
But yeah,
problem.
I was gonna say, I reached out to a local man here, a local author, Civil War author. We did a book signing together back in October, and he does Civil War books about battles and stuff here. So I asked if he had any information on one of the battlefields up here, and I haven't heard back from him yet. But I've done some extensive research on that. So that's going to be interesting to do. And I'm excited because, like I said, I've been to a couple of the battlefields just as a visitor, and now I'm going back to try and capture some stuff and write a book about it. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
You should start writing about other people's experiences.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because we can segue into that. I ask people if they want to, please feel free to drop me a line on my email to share your experience or talk about anything you want to talk about. Can I go ahead and give my email out?
Sure.
Okay, it's KKILLEN, P as in boy, T as in Tom, at gmail.com. That's KKillenBT at gmail.com. And I encourage any of your audience to drop me a line about anything. I love to talk about the paranormal or anything with pretty much anything. I don't mind talking about anything, but if you have any experiences, stories you want to share, please feel free to drop me a line. Like I said, like you said, this is a community, and I think we need to support each other. And yeah, I'm up for talking to anybody about these things. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, there's people out there that have a lot of experience, but there's no one out there that is an expert.
Absolutely.
So don't let anybody fool you when you're looking for a group to hang out with. You make sure that they have that mentality and that they are willing to, be a part of the community.
Right.
You'll find there's some out there that are jealous, that they want the fame. And I didn't get into this for fame. I got into it to help people and also to pique my curiosity and, get that evidence. You won't find a whole lot of evidence on our social media because I scrutinize probably more than I should, but oh guys, check this out. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But like I said, there are those some, maybe somebody else might be able to debunk it, but there's still some that I just can't. So I'm anxious for you to be able to join up with them. If you get to Texas, you get around Austin area, come see us. We'll take you. Uh-oh. Did I lose you again?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. You're back.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry about that. This connection's horrible down here.
Yeah.
Because actually something usually happens. I think the last show I was on, the host's chair started vibrating, and she said that never happened to her before. And I said, "Welcome to my world." What happened? And I have a desk lamp here next to me that was going on and off all night. So usually they just come and say, "Hey, they like to participate," and that's what they're doing. But it kind of freaked her out, and I thought it was great because he was just like, "Kevin, this doesn't happen to me." And I was like, "Welcome to my world. It's me. I apologize." But she's like, "That is so weird. It's the only place in the house doing that." I said, "I know."
Well, when I started doing this and we got to this house, all of a sudden things would happen when I was doing a interview with somebody in the ghost part of the paranormal world. I could interview you if you were a Bigfoot hunter. Everything went smooth. Nothing happened wrong. I could talk to you about UFOs. Nothing goes wrong. I talk to you about ghosts. My programs want to shut down. I used to use Skype, and Skype would just die on me.
Yeah.
And, I'd hear noises and stuff going on that don't normally go on. And the flipping cats, they want to go nuts at the door. Like, okay, come on, give me a break. Let me get through an interview, right?
Yeah, that's that's been my experience, and you're right, because usually when I go talk to people on Skype, that's what usually does it. Skype goes haywire.
Yeah, I quit using Skype because I just had no luck with it at all. Unless you were talking about Bigfoot, then it was okay.
Isn't that weird that happens?
Why? I don't know. I guess they hear us talking about them. They're like, hey, I want to join in.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people. Like, hey, they're they used to be human in human form, so it's hey, what's this? I mean, it's basically the same thing. If somebody walked in here, they'd want to say, hey, what's Kevin doing? Look over my shoulder. So they're no different, and I've always got certain ones with me, and I know that, and they know just to hang back, and so I'm an empath,
Okay.
so yeah, I have a lot of the empathic ability. So yeah, I know that I've got a couple of them with me. They're not attached to me, but they're around me. So and they're fine. They don't bother me.
Yes, my wife is an empath, so I know exactly what you mean.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Me,
Yeah,
I'm just a
it's hard
psychopath.
to explain that to people who don't understand it, and even after you do explain it, then they start formulating a checklist in their mind. And then some of them are actually, oh my God, 10 out of 12. Maybe I'm, and it's like, maybe you are. I said, because this is how it's been. And, but that's one thing wanted to say about writing this book is that's what I wanted to write this book for. I didn't want to write it for notoriety or fame or money. I wanted to write it for answers and to let people know, hey, I'm a above average intelligent man who's been experiencing these things for a long time. I don't know what it is. Help me figure out what these things are. So that's really why I did that, is just to get my thoughts on paper and to, like you said, get some help out there, because I've had some great theories out there. And you're right, I've come across some people who think that they're.
And lost you again.
Yeah. You're froze, but I can hear your voice.
And it's funny, you're frozen and I can hear your voice now.
There you go. So yeah, I've come across a few of those people that no, this is the way it is, and this is no, it's not. There's no such thing as anything. Nothing is linear. If you think you know anything about this field, then you're sadly mistaken, because there's nothing to know. Everything is theory based. Nothing is proven. And again, I understand there are fame seekers, just like with any kind of genre of any sort of whatever. But yeah, I got into this just to find out what's what, because I've had these experiences and I still don't know. And I've learned to deal with them a lot better, and I've come across some really good people who have helped me with that journey. But there's so much more out there. That's why I want to write the other book. And just continually just to search for answers is what I've been trying to do for the last 35, 40 years.
Nope. We definitely promote unity. As I say, we're on this journey together. We're out to prove something that we all believe strongly in, and we should share our experiences, share any kind of different way of doing things. We can't approach every single investigation the same way. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
We went to Seguin, Texas, and we were in a house which was just a few blocks away from the Magnolia Hotel.
Okay.
And when we were in there, we had a REM pod on. And I've had certain lights that usually light up when something's near, but it doesn't happen very often. We had one of the littler lights, and it started going, and one of us kind of thought, well, this kind of sounds like Morse code. I picked up my phone, got on my apps. I said, certainly there's a Morse code app in here. Sure enough, you type in a sentence and you hit play, and it does the beeps and dashes and all that stuff. And all of a sudden they were interacting with each other.
That's awesome.
And what's really crazy is the next day we went into town and get a little break, went into a little shop, and they had a bracelet there and it said Seguin on it, and underneath it, it was spelled out in Morse code.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
We didn't find out until later that the place actually belonged to somebody that had been in the old post office back in the 1800s, and they did the telegraph and did the Morse code back and forth.
Awesome.
So you never know what you're going to run into, but you got to
Absolutely.
keep an open mind.
Absolutely, and that you're absolutely right. Is that's the hard part for a lot of people is keeping an open mind. And I'm certainly in an area where there's a lot of. I'm 3 miles down the road from Mount Vernon, and I haven't been to Mount Vernon as a kid, so it's been a long time since I've been there. But we've got all these old places around here that Fairfax County is one of the oldest counties in the area in the country. So who knows? I mean, we've had people live and die for centuries here. So, there's a lot of stuff around here, and I'm kind of in the heart of it and everything. But yeah, you're right. You can't go into something and expect, and again, that's the one thing is what really bothers me about some of these shows is that they come out with evidence all the time. That doesn't happen that way. I've done things where I've gotten nothing. As a matter of fact, I've done things at work thinking I'm going to capture something because I hear and see stuff all the time. I've gotten nothing conclusive at all whatsoever. I put tape recorders in 4 or 5 different rooms and gotten absolutely nothing I could say definitively this is paranormal. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, and again, I always say we're at their mercy, not the other way around.
Well, I don't fault anyone for trying to get their name out there. And if they happen to get on television, hey, more power to you. That's awesome. And, if you work hard for it, you deserve it. But don't forget where you came from. Don't get that Hollywood mentality of, oh, we've got a gopher that's knocking on doors and you can't see him. And, oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Somebody's whispering in the background. Oh, we got this EVP. Keep it real.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about Ghost Hunters.
Yes.
How many episodes did you watch that they didn't catch anything or they were able to explain stuff away? That's the way you should go into an investigation.
Right. And I understand ratings. I get that. It's like, and that's another thing too, is a lot of people who have read this book that I've heard from will be like, there's nothing overly whatever. I said, because I didn't do this as a sensational thing to sell books. I did this for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to have a lot of like jump scares and, oh my God, the demon came out of the wall. I don't have that in there because that wasn't the purpose of this thing. But some people will do that and they'll go overboard and try and get a Hollywood deal or a movie or something. But, and that's fun for them. Good luck to them and more power to them. But I definitely didn't get into this for notoriety or fame or money because I certainly don't have either one. So I'm okay with that.
Not only have you shared your experiences, but it seems like you've gotten some peace of mind from it as well. If that makes sense. Did I lose you again? Are you there? Can you hear me?
There you are.
Okay. No, I was saying that, not only have you've been able to share your experiences, but it also seems like you've gotten some peace of mind from doing this book.
Yes.
If that's accurate.
We have.
So, believe it or not, our time is almost up. So, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, like on social media, if you don't mind.
Sure. Okay, you can get a hold of me again. My Gmail address is kkillen, KKILLEN, B as in boy, T as in Tom, at gmail.com. I can be reached on Instagram at IrishKev7147. Those are really the only that's the only social media I use. I am on Facebook, but I kind of usually don't use that, or Twitter, because Twitter I don't really use. But you can reach me at any of those 2 places.
I lost you.
There you go.
All right. Okay. So, you said you don't really use Twitter. I have a Twitter. I don't hardly ever use it either.
Yeah, I don't use Twitter or Facebook, but you can reach me at those 2 places, the Gmail and the Instagram. And also you can reach me at kkillen@live.com. That's an older email address, but I still keep that updated. So if you need to reach me on those 3 things, I'd be more than glad to answer any questions. Just stop by and say hey, or if you pick up my book, give me a nice review, or if you think it sucked, tell me it sucked, and that's okay. I'm okay with the criticism. So I'm always open to talking to anybody and everybody about any of the subjects. If you need something talked about, drug and alcohol related, you can pick my brain about that. I've been a counselor for almost 10 years now. So
nice.
just basically anything, just drop me a line. You want to talk about your cat doing backflips and why? So I'm open to talking to anybody. I love to talk to people. So feel free to drop me a line on any of those three things, and we'll go ahead and kick around some ideas.
So once I get this on our Facebook and all that, if you would go ahead and send me your links in the email, sure. I will post those along with the video so people will know how to get a hold of you. The link to like Amazon,
sure.
I wouldn't mind sharing that at all. And I thank you very much for being on the show. This has been a pleasure. And I definitely would like to get you back on here. As soon as you get something else in the works, man, give me a shout and we'll definitely get you back on.
Hey, not a problem. I thank you for having me. This has been a blast.
So,
I enjoy doing these things. So I have a question for you.
Oh, sure. So
did you leave Paranormal Buzz Radio?
Yes, actually we did. It was nothing personal. I talked to one of the owners and I just told him, a group of us got together, decided we wanted to do our own network, and I wanted to expand and get away from just doing paranormal. So anybody that's interested, we have a new Facebook page. It's called the Vibes Broadcast Network. We're also the Vibes Broadcast on Instagram. We didn't realize till later we spelled broadcast without the A. So it's BRODCAST. But, if you follow us on there, you'll get the updates on everybody that's on the show. And I will definitely post like the videos, the links to all of our podcasts on there. We have, of course, I have a couple of paranormal shows on here, including mine. We have Positive Vibes, which I'm starting pretty soon, where we have people that come on and they talk about, if they've overcome problems like substance abuse or, they grew up poor and now they're successful, or if they just have positive messages to get out.
Good.
We have a show that has to deal with people that are trying to grow their abilities, especially, around the witchy kind of stuff.
Right, yeah.
We have a cosplay show.
Okay, good.
Which I love because I go to comic book conventions all the time. Right. If you can't tell from my wall back here. And we also have one that's kind of a comedy type show, but it's all kinds of subjects. It's kind of whatever's the guy's in the mood to talk about, he gets guests on and he loves to cut up. So
that sounds like you got a nice thing going there. And like I said, my buddy Jen B.
Yes, Jen is on our network.
Yeah, she was my very first podcast, and she's a wonderful woman. I had a blast.
Okay. Try again. Can you hear me?
That didn't work.
There we go. So yeah, Jen B.
I asked them to let us finish. They usually relent, but I guess maybe not tonight. But now I was gonna say, yeah, Jen B's she's a really cool lady. So that's good to have her. Like I said, she was a blast when I did one of her shows. So it was my very first podcast. So I've always had an affinity for her because she was just really cool. So I just really enjoyed her, and I follow her on Instagram. So
yeah, she's awesome. She can have a potty mouth sometimes, but she's awesome.
That's what makes her great. One of the things that makes her great, but yeah, we had a blast doing her show. So that's good to see that she's back on the air somewhere, because she's a great host.
Oh, she deserves to have a show, because I mean, not only her abilities, which is what she focuses on, but on her Instagram, I love to see all the little Funko Pops that she likes to, pose and take pictures of. I love it. I love it.
I remember her talking about those on her last show all the time. She's so excited about getting a new one and raving about it. And I just thought those were so cool. So yeah, I like seeing those as well. So.
Well, look for her first show to be aired on the 1st of March.
Good.
And so for some reason, it was supposed to hold it back and not put it out on anything, but it ended up getting leaked out. And she was a little disappointed, because she wanted that big, it's coming out on the 1st.
Right, yeah.
But she's already getting download after download, so I'm proud of her.
Good, yeah, because she was fun.
Well, everyone, I sure appreciate y'all tuning in and listening to our podcast. If you're seeing us on YouTube, thank you for that. Share it and like it and pass it on to everyone, so we can keep this great thing going. And I hope y'all have a great one, and we will see you on our next show.
Thank you for joining us on Into the Pit. Please follow us on Facebook at the Vibes Broadcast Network and Instagram at the Vibes Broadcast.